There was a time when America moved to a slower rhythm. When life was simpler, conversations were longer, and time spent with loved ones felt endless. From small-town parades to family dinners, each day carried warmth and connection that today's world rarely sees. These weren't just habits. They were the heartbeat of American life. Today, we journey back in time to rediscover 15 lost American traditions you'll never see again. 1. Town parades. Once, main streets across America came alive with parades that united entire communities. Children dressed in red, white, and blue waved paper flags as marching bands played patriotic songs that echoed through the air. Veterans marched proudly, local businesses decorated floats, and families gathered shoulder to shoulder to celebrate together. It wasn't just a show, it was a reminder that people stood side by side, proud of their town and their country. Today, those same streets are quieter, but for those who remember, the echo of the drums still plays in their hearts. 2. Porch sitting. Before television took over evenings, front porches were the living rooms of America. Families rocked gently in old wooden chairs, sipping lemonade or sweet tea as the day faded into twilight. The hum of crickets filled the silence, and neighbors strolled by, stopping to share a laugh or a story. Children chased fireflies while adults watched, smiling. Porch sitting wasn't about passing time. It was about connection, peace, and being present. Those soft summer nights carried a magic modern life can't recreate. 3. Barn dances. When the harvest season ended, townsfolk gathered in barns strung with lanterns and straw. The fiddles played, boots tapped, and laughter filled the countryside. Young couples danced under the rafters, while elders clapped to the rhythm, remembering their own youth. These dances weren't glamorous. They were simple, real, and full of heart. In that music and movement, people found community, love, and pure joy. Today, the barns still stand, but their silence speaks of memories long gone. 4. Barber talks. The local barber shop was the town's newsroom, debate hall, and meeting spot rolled into one. Men came for a shave or haircut, but stayed for the conversation. The radio played old tunes while stories and laughter filled the room. Every customer had a tale, every barber had advice, and everyone left with more than a clean shave. They left feeling known. It was friendship, honesty, and humanity inside 4 simple walls. 5. Drive-ins. Summer nights once meant parking the family car beneath the stars and watching movies on giant outdoor screens. The smell of buttered popcorn filled the air. Children played on the swings before the film began, and couples held hands in the glow of headlights. Each honk and cheer turned the field into a shared celebration. Drive-ins weren't about convenience. They were about experience. It was the romance of cinema wrapped in the comfort of community. 6. County fairs. County fairs were once the heartbeat of every small town. Farmers showed their best crops, children rode ponies, and the sweet sound of country music filled the air. The Ferris wheel turned slowly into the sunset as the smell of popcorn and cotton candy drifted through the crowd. It wasn't about winning prizes. It was about laughter, pride, and the feeling of being part of something bigger. Those nights, glowing with light and laughter, are treasures locked in time. 7. General stores. Long before supermarkets and online orders, there were general stores, the soul of small-town life. The wooden floor creaked under every step. A bell rang as the door opened, and the owner always greeted you by name. Children pressed their faces to glass jars filled with penny candy, while farmers discussed the weather over a cup of coffee. The store was a meeting place, a lifeline, and a memory maker. Every visit carried warmth, and every goodbye ended with, "See you tomorrow." 8. Fireside stories. Evenings once ended with families gathered around the hearth, the fire crackling softly while grandparents told stories from long ago. Their voices carried wisdom, humor, and heart, tales of love, war, and hope passed from one generation to the next. Children listened wide-eyed, learning life before screens ever existed. These moments didn't just entertain. They built values, preserved history, and created bonds that lasted a lifetime. 9. One-room schools. In the heart of rural America stood one-room schoolhouses where learning truly meant community. One teacher, a chalkboard, and rows of eager faces, all grades learning together under one roof. Lessons went beyond books. They taught kindness, responsibility, and respect. The school bell ringing across the field marked not just the start of class, but the promise of a better future. 10. Milk deliveries. The gentle clink of glass bottles at dawn was once the sound of comfort. The milkman's steady footsteps meant the day had begun. Families trusted him, not just as a delivery man, but as a familiar face who knew every name and every porch. Fresh milk, cream, and eggs came with a smile. It was more than convenience. It was care, reliability, and the rhythm of life before rush and noise took over. 11. Evening walks. After dinner, families stepped outside, hand in hand, as the sun dipped behind the trees. Children laughed, parents talked softly, and neighbors waved from their porches. The world felt calm, slow enough to notice the sound of crickets or the cool touch of evening air. These walks weren't for fitness. They were for peace. They reminded people of what really mattered. Time spent together. 12. Handwritten letters. Before emails and texts, letters were bridges across distance. Each envelope carried emotion, the scent of perfume, the smudge of ink, and the weight of care. Opening a letter was like hearing a loved one's voice. Words were chosen carefully, written slowly, with thought and heart. In those handwritten lines lived love stories, memories, and human connection that no screen will ever replace. 13. Corner diners. Every town had a diner that never seemed to close. Neon signs glowed through the night. Coffee cups stayed warm, and the jukebox played the same songs for decades. Waitresses called everyone sweetheart, and people from all walks of life sat side by side. It wasn't about the food, it was about belonging. A slice of pie and a smile could fix almost anything. 14. Penny candy. There was magic in a single penny. Children's eyes sparkled as they chose from jars filled with colorful sweets, taffy, jawbreakers, and licorice sticks. The shopkeeper smiled patiently as they made their impossible decision. That small joy, buying candy with your own coin, was a childhood rite of passage, filled with innocence and wonder. 15. Sunday visits. Sundays were reserved for family. After church, cars rolled down quiet country roads toward a grandparent's home. Tables overflowed with food, laughter filled the air, and every conversation carried love. There were no phones, no distractions, just presence. It was a weekly ritual that reminded everyone that home wasn't a place. It was the people you shared your time with. Final thoughts. From the warmth of front porches to the laughter of county fairs, these 15 lost traditions remind us that America was once built on connection, care, and community. Life back then wasn't perfect, but it was personal. Every handshake meant trust, every visit meant love, and every simple act carried heart. The world has changed, but the spirit of those moments still lives in memory, waiting to be remembered, cherished, and maybe, one day, revived. If these memories touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again here on American Restored, where we bring forgotten history back to life, one story at a time.